What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Michael Chandler shares prediction for how he will defeat Charles Oliveira at UFC 309. He noted that he is planning to make an emphatic statement and has envisioned defeating the Brazilian. Iron and Do Bronx are set to compete in the co-main event, which will be a rematch of their UFC 262 encounter. Oliveira earned a second-round TKO in their first bout, but it was a close call as his durability and resilience were tested. The first round saw Chandler drop the Brazilian, but he was unable to finish him to become the lightweight champion. During his latest appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, the 38-year-old outlined his path to victory and shared his prediction for what will transpire in their rematch. Michael has been known for his exciting fights, especially since joining the UFC and plans on delivering on Saturday night. Chandler made it clear that he will be aiming for a knockout win and mentioned that he intends to finish Charles Oliveira. So, I've actually envisioned that a couple different times. I don't know if it's going to be a right hand, left hook, what it's going to be, but Charles Oliveira is going to be separated from consciousness, I believe. 100% I think it's going to happen. Stipe Miocic relishing an underdog role heading into UFC 309 return. Former UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic loves the doubters heading into his return. The 42-year-old former heavyweight champion hasn't been seen in the cage in over 3 years. The last time Stipe Miocic fought was in early 2021, suffering a brutal knockout loss to Francis Ngannou. Following the devastating defeat, some assumed the heavyweight would retire. However, Miocic is now set to return. In the main event of UFC 309 on Saturday, Stipe Miocic will face Jon Jones. Furthermore, the 42-year-old former champion is currently a hefty underdog. Speaking in a recent interview, Stipe Miocic was asked about being the underdog heading into UFC 309. There, the 42-year-old admitted he loves that role. There's nothing Miocic would love more than to ruin the organization's plans and pull off an upset this weekend. No, man, I'm ready. I wish it was Saturday already. I always use the doubt, man. I use that fuel. Keep dogging me. I use it as fire. It fires me up every single time exactly. It's always nice to be the underdog. Right now, Jon Jones is all I care about. I'm not worried about anything else. My focus is on Jon. I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. God forbid something happens to Jon. I'll fight Tom Aspinall. It is what it is. But I'm worried about Jon Jones right now. According to TJ Dillashaw, the UFC heavily invested in Cody Garbrandt. Dillashaw ended up fighting former training partner Garbrandt twice after he fell out with Team Alpha Male. The pair coached season 27 of The Ultimate Fighter, and tensions reached a boiling point during the filming of the show. Garbrandt was an undefeated bantamweight champion during that time, after he put on a masterclass against Dominic Cruz to dethrone him. Dillashaw says the UFC put a lot of stock into No Love leading up to their title fight. Dillashaw ended up getting the best of Garbrandt by knockout in 2 straight title fights. Since beating Cruz, Garbrandt has struggled to remain at the top of the bantamweight ladder. He had a lot of pressure on him as well. He had an amazing fight against Cruz. I've never seen Cody Garbrandt be that good. His style is perfect for Cruz. He's by far the fastest human being I've ever trained with when it comes to reaction times and how quick he is. He's got great wrestling, and he's got power in his hands, so it was a perfect matchup for him. Coming off that, the UFC was like, hey, this is our next big horse. Let's put some money into him. From what I was told, they put like $6 million into marketing him before our fight, gave us the Ultimate Fighter. They wanted him to be the next Conor McGregor. Khabib's coach picks Paddy Pimblett to beat Conor McGregor. There aren't many fighters that are able to arrive in the UFC and make an immediate impact by being loved or hated. Even fewer are able to then back it up inside the octagon in order to make a real name for themselves in the sport. 2 fighters that have done that and continue to produce regular talking points are the biggest star in the history of the sport, Conor McGregor, and one of the most high-profile names to follow on from the notorious Paddy Pimblett. Given the huge profiles of both men, there's no denying that a fight between them would be absolutely huge if it even came close to happening. Though both men have got their critics, it's hard to argue with what McGregor has done in the sport as the UFC's first ever 2-weight champion, but that was a long time ago at this stage. As a result, a very experienced coach believes that Pimblett would have the advantage over the Irishman as of right now. In a recent interview, Javier Mendez stated that he isn't confident that the Notorious is the same guy that produced some of the most memorable moments in UFC history anymore. Paddy and McGregor would be a great fight not just in England but the USA too. It'd be a great fight, and I'd favor Paddy because he's more of a fighter now, and I'm not sure if McGregor is anymore. He may come back and prove us wrong, but I favor Paddy because of where his state of mind is with fighting. We don't know if he's in or out. He might be fantastic in camp, but I'm betting not based on what I hear in the inner circles. I'm betting he's not taking it seriously. Tom Aspinall says Michael Chandler must be frustrating to coach. Tom Aspinall enjoys watching Michael Chandler fight, but can't imagine how his corner feels. Chandler has earned 4 bonuses in 5 octagon appearances, thrilling fans with incredible knockouts. With a decorated collegiate wrestling background, Chandler is an all-around threat, but Aspinall thinks the former Bellator champion doesn't always lean on the necessary skill set when he competes. I think Mike Chandler especially, he's got to be one of the most frustrating people to coach ever. Tactics when he fights are just completely out the window, and he just goes for it. He's just basically having a street fight with a pair of gloves on. It's fantastic to watch. Obviously, he's very technical, but he chooses not to use that in a way. For me, sometimes I love technique. I love the finesse of fighting. But sometimes, just like anybody else, I just like to watch a good scrap. So this guy's entertainment every time. Aspinall expects their rematch to be just as wild. Put these 2 guys in, you close the octagon doors, you ring the bell, and it's just going to be absolute chaos. I'm looking forward to being cage side for that one. Jorge Masvidal insists UFC return is on track, doubles down on Leon Edwards' callout. Jorge Masvidal initially retired from pro MMA competition back in 2023. Jorge lost his 4th fight in a row, but admitted that he could not really get rid of the desire to continue fighting. The inaugural BMF champion went on to have a 10-round boxing match with Nate Diaz. Masvidal lost the bout via majority decision. During an interview, Jorge Masvidal said he's looking to prove he's at the top of the heap at welterweight, despite inactivity on the MMA side. He even doubled down on challenging former UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards. Let's roll the dice for the #1 guy in the world. I'll find out if I am who I say I am. I want to fight the world's best. I always have. I've been out of the game a little bit. Let's see what's possible. We're betting 100% on me. Leon is scared of me. He's never wanted this. Here I am, calling out his name. You ain't gotta fight. I ain't gotta fight. Let's go. There is well-documented history between Jorge and Leon. Back in March 2019, Masvidal punched Edwards backstage following a UFC London event. Edwards lost the 170-pound gold to Bilal Muhammad back in July. There's no word on what could be next for Edwards, but it's clear that Masvidal has been pounding the table to fight him. Jon Jones willing to vacate heavyweight title in order to fight Alex Pereira after UFC 309. If Jones, who's flirted with retiring after UFC 309, defeats Stipe Miocic and continues his career beyond Saturday night's main event, many fans and pundits believe he should unify the title with Aspinall, UFC CEO Dana White among them. But as far as Jones is concerned, those people are simply misguided. Well, the interim championship shouldn't have been there in the first place. The only reason there was an interim championship fight was because I got hurt, and they needed to keep the importance of that Madison Square Garden event. But Sergey and Aspinall shouldn't have been fighting for an interim title in the first place. They should have just been a replacement fight, a main event. I think making it an interim fight was premature, and now you have a bunch of confused people. When considering a future fight with Pereira or Aspinall, Jones views Alex as the matchup that will help his legacy more, which is important to him. It'd be cool to fight Pereira for the heavyweight championship, but I would also willingly give up the heavyweight championship. I walked away from the light heavyweight championship, and I'd love to walk away from this one as well, on top, on my own terms. Good head on my shoulders, making lots of money. I love the position that I'm in right now. Fighting Pereira for the BMF belt, that'd be cool. We both have 2 belts in 2 weight classes. The night we fought, we'd both be fighting for our 3rd belt, which would be the BMF.